the Rebbe to make a סיום after every sefer. Today we have concluded, we finished sefer נשים and we started sefer קדושה. In honor of that we have a choshev gas from the choshev melamdim in unser cheder, Rav Chosid, Rav Chaim Borch, הכהן טיטלביום is going to make the סיום in the aschole. Rav Chaim Borch, bevakasha.
Halacha Yerches. Mitzvahs Chachamim al Bnei Yisrael Kanes l'Neshehen. The Chachamim made a mitzvah for the Bnei Yisrael, for Yidden, to give a warning to their wives. Like it says in the Pasuk, V'kinei es ishtay, v'chol ha'makani le'ishtay nichnasa beruach Tyra. Whoever gives a warning to his wife, it means that a spirit of Tyra came inside of him. V'lo yekane la lo mitech schayik, v'lo mitech sicha, v'lo mitech kalos reish, v'lo mitech meriva, v'lo lahatal aleha ema. The warning has to be with all these conditions, not in a way of laughter, not in a way of casual talk, not in a way of lightheadedness, not in a way of argument, and not to place extra fear. But if he did warn her in any of these ways, although it's not proper, it's still a good warning. Halacha Yotes, the final halacha, it is not proper to jump and to give a warning in front of witnesses, tchila at first, rather, they should do it alone, calmly, in a way of purity and warning. In order to guide her in the right way, to remove the obstacle. Anyone who is not particular about his wife, or his sons and his family, and warn them, and constantly inspects their ways, until he knows that they are complete from any sins, then he is the sinner. Like the Pasuk writes, and you will know that your tent is peaceful, and you will inspect your place of living, and you will not sin. From the Pasuk you understand that if a person will not inspect his house and make sure there's no sins, then that person who failed to inspect, he is doing a sin. We'll start right away the Haskalah of Sefer Kedusha. The Pasuk starts, prepare my steps according to your words, and no sin should have control over me. Halacha Aleph, Habal Achas Mikol HaRayos B'Meizid Chayiv Kares Shenemar Ki Kol Asher Yasim Mikol HaTe'eves Ha'ela V'Nichrisu Anafashas Ha'eses Mikarev Amam. All of those which are boil in Araya, which means that which is the relatives the Torah describes, are all Chayiv Kares, and the punishment is equally on the man and the woman. The there are certain arayos that in addition to kares, they receive death from Beis Din. Okay, there's a question in the Rambam at the end of Sefer Nashim. It says here, mitzvahs chachamim al bnei Yisrael kanas l'nashem, that it's a mitzvah to give a warning. The obvious question is, whoever starts off learning Saita, many people start, in the very first Mishnah starts with the words hamekane. And the Gemara analyzes, it's written in a past tense. If one gave a warning, and the Gemara is medayek, that means that bidi eved in, if you gave a warning, then the following halachas apply. But l'chatchila, one should not give a warning. And the maskana is that the Tana of the Mishnah holds it's asr l'kanes. Here the Rambam says, mitzvahs chachamim al bnei Yisrael l'kanes l'nashem. He's clearly arguing with the Stam Mishnah. We know the rule is halacha Stam Mishnah. So it's a famous question. The Tesis Yom Tov mentions it, and he says the answer is because a few amudim later it says a machlokes between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel. One says giving a warning is a reshus. One says giving a warning is a mitzvah, and therefore he says both of them agree it's for sure not asur. And when you have two Tanoim from the Brisa, Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva, both arguing with a Stam Tana, here you follow the Brisa. Rebbe says that's a questionable solution because not all opinions hold that. Some opinions say that the rule of halacha Stam Mishnah is only if the halacha is das rabim, but some say even if the Mishnah is a das yachid, we still keep the halacha like the Mishnah. So the Rebbe does not prefer to follow this because halacha Stam Mishnah applies pretty much always. So the Rebbe says that this is not really a three-way machlekes. Some would say that the Mishnah says asur l'kanes, and in the Brisa Rabbi Shmuel says mitzvah l'kanes, rishos, and Rabbi Akiva says mitzvah. So it's not a three-way machlekes. Really, everyone agrees with the Mishnah that it's asur l'kanes. And when the Rambam writes here, mitzvahs chachamim l'kanes l'nashem, it's not a contradiction. He agrees with the Mishnah and with the Brisa. And there's no contradiction. How could that make sense? So in general, there are two ways how a warning can be given. One is the person that realizes that there's something to suspect, and he's concerned that his wife is doing a dvar avera, and therefore he gives the warning to clarify whether it's true or not, whether suspicions are true or not. That's one way. A second way a person can give a warning is that there's no chashash at all, but since he's constantly looking after how the behavior of the people of his family are going, he's paiked darkeim tamid, he's constantly looking to see how they're behaving, and therefore he will give a warning as a prevention, not because there's any real chash, but to prevent it from ever coming to a chash. And that is the type of warning in which the Brisa speaks about. So when it comes to a warning, when there's a real chash, the Mishnah says asur lakanis. But when there's a no chash and a person is involved in doing chinuch, like the Rambam clearly says later, it says that the Rambam later puts it all together. This is part of the general idea of looking after the behavior in the house. So this type, according to Rabbi Yishmael, it's only going to be rishus, because being overly particular about their behavior may cause, the Gemara says, you might think since the Torah says it shouldn't cause any arguments and fights, and constantly being overlooking that may cause a fight. You need the Torah to say the kines ishtai to balance that chashash of the avera and to say it's rishos. You could still give a warning, but the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva mechaverei. So therefore the Rambam says no, even though there's a chashash, but still mitzvah lakanes, mitzvah chachamim lakanes lishtay. Narvas, then be careful. It shouldn't be mitech schreik, mitech sicha, mitech kalos reish, nulei hatala ema. It should be benachas. All these warnings have to be in place because there's no real worry that anything went wrong. This is all just to prevent them from anything happening wrong. So, and this is actually meduyik. The fact that there's two types of warnings is meduyik in the lashon of the pasuk. There's an arichas in the pasuk that says that the avar lav ruach kina v'kines ishtay v'hi nitma, ay avar lav ruach kina v'kines ishtay v'hi lay nitma. The whole pasuk is repeated twice. Really just means that there's a doubt whether she became tummy or not. But the Rebbe learns that this is actually two different types of kinoi. There are two style warnings. The first warning is the kines ishtay v'hi nitma. That means that he has a real suspicion that something happened and he needs to be mevaret. The next type of warning, another type of warning, is coming for a person when there was no chashash, and it's just to prevent it because he's paiked darkeim tamid. So there becomes the obvious question, all right, mitzvah lakanis, because you have to always be looking after your family. But why would it be asur lakanis if there's a real chash? If there's a real chash that she did something wrong, the obvious step you have to take is to clarify that nothing really happened. Because if there is an avera there, you have to make sure that the proper punishment is given and it stops right away. So the answer is no. The Rambam learns the kula alma, when there's a real chash, it's asur lakanis. You're not allowed to use this whole idea of all the halachas of saita should never be used in a case when the woman is actually doing things that are suspicious. Why? The rule is that the dinim of saita will work only if the ish is menuka mi'oven. It says later on in the pasuk, it says, "Bizman sha'ish menuka mi'oven," the waters will check. But if ein ha'ish menuka mi'oven, the waters won't work at all. So therefore, it's really depending on the husband whether or not this whole process will work. There's another rule that goes, "Kol ha'mezaneh ishtay mezanenes olav." That generally speaking, whatever the husband is busy doing, the wife is doing similar. Just the husband does it on a bigger scale, and the wife is on a smaller scale. Like the example there that's brought, the amri inshi inu Bei kari, itase bei butzine. It's a certain type of vegetable. It says he's the larger size, and he's involved in the larger size, and she is involved in the smaller size. And Rashi concludes, "B'masha hu oisa ki asuka." They're both doing the same idea. So therefore, if the wife is actually behaving in a way that there's a real chash, that she did something wrong, high chances is that the husband has even higher chashas. And since if the husband is eina ish menuka mi'oven, the waters won't check at all. If he'll give a kinoi, and it'll lead to stira, and that will lead to bringing a saita water. Mistama, the saita water won't work at all, and it'll bring a chil Hashem. Therefore, what's the proper solution? So again, if the wife did not do anything wrong, it's a mitzvah lakanes, like Pasuk Rabbi Akiva. And if she is doing things that are achshash, then it's asur lakanes, and the solution there is better to give a gerushin, because then even if you give a warning, in the meantime there can be things going on. To be megarish is the simplest solution. She's doing something which is a davar mechor, be megarish right away. Taki might have to pay the ksuba, but besides for that, it's definitely the proper solution to do. So again, the maskana over here is that the Rambam is agreeing with the Mishnah and the Brisa, and there's two types of kinoi. The type of kinoi for chash is asur. The type of kinoi for preventative is a mitzvah. And I remember hearing once a story, without any of the details, there was someone who came to the Chiddush and said to the Rebbe his plans to donate a huge amount of money for a hospital. And the Rebbe said to him that instead of waiting for somebody to act in a way that makes him get sick, and then to pay money for him to get better take that same money and invest it in chinuch, which is going to stop them from ever coming to such a case in the first place. So maybe this is a similar idea. The lesson is that if you're going to use these preventative measures, if you use kino as a way to stop it, you're going to gain much more, and after, it's already too late anyways. By then, gerushin is a better option. Wow.